For the TOEFL certification course, okay, we are now in the grammatical and written expression, okay. So as you can see here, we have, and as you could see the previous week, we checked how to use articles. Remember that we have only exist three articles. That is the article a, that is the article and the or the depends on the pronunciation, but we'll check it in a minute. Okay, so remember that these two articles that are the definite articles, okay, they you use them in a pronunciation rule, in a pronunciation way, because you pronounce them according to this. You use a in a consonant sound word, like for example, you say a chair, a door, a table, okay, and you use an with a vowel sound word, okay? So you say an orange, an apple, and an egg, okay? So these two ways depends on that. But for example, we have this article that is a definite article, okay? And we have two pronunciations. As you can see, these two are the ways of how you pronounce them. For example, this pronunciation, the article da has two pronunciations, the or da, okay? But and you express them this in the phonetic alphabet, okay? But how do you use or when do you pronounce the or when do you pronounce that? The you pronounce it, okay? And it's very similar to this, okay? After a vowel sound. So now you can say the orange, the apple, and the egg. Okay? And when do you pronounce that? It's the same idea. It's very similar to this. Because you pronounce that when you have a vowel sound. Okay? For example, you say the chair, the door, the table. Okay? So, but you have ways. You have many different ways of how to use this article. That is, for example, you will use it to be very specific. Imagine that you have two dresses, and one is red and the other one is blue. Okay, and imagine that is your girlfriend, your sister, your mother. Okay, so and you have these two dresses, and your mother says, "So which one do you prefer now, the red one or the blue one?" Okay. So in that moment you are very specific because you're talking about the same stuff, but in that moment you are specifying the blue one or the red one. Okay? You use it to be very specific. With ocean names, if you think about it, so we have oceans around the world. Okay? And what you say about it? So for example, the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Mediterranean, the Indic. So we have many oceans. Okay, titles. When I refer to titles, it's not about book titles. It's about titles like, for example, the king or the queen. Or, for example, even other titles like in this moment, I am the teacher. Okay, that's my title. Or, for example, any other, no, about talking about sports. Okay, so a person, a boxer, that wins the championship, that is the number one, he becomes into the champion. Country names. Exist some countries that that has this article at the beginning of its name. Like for example, the Philippines, the United States, the United Kingdom. Okay, so these country names are in this list. And when is the only one object, and this is very relative. Like for example, if you think about it, in our solar system, we have only one star, that is the sun. Okay, or if you think about it, about our planet, leisure, about our planet. Okay. So, for example, we have one satellite, okay, orbiting around the world. Okay, that is the moon. Or for example, now in this moment, no, in the classroom. So we have only one. We have the whiteboard, it's just one. We have the screen, it's just one. Or we have the teacher, it's only one object. Okay? So yes, this is a ways of how to use it. There exists other ways of how to use and how not to use, because this is the opposite. How not to use this? Like for example, when there are general, when you have plural nouns, okay? General objects, okay? You have a plural noun, okay? So for example, people, okay? So that's plural. You don't say the people, okay? I'm referring about as a general stuff, okay? This is incorrect. If you say the people are many around the world, so something like that, okay? So that's incorrect. You say people around the world, okay? So, well, it's possible to use it because, for example, if you see a bunch of people, okay, you say the people, in that moment you can use it because you are being specific. Otherwise, you can't, okay? It's not possible. Okay, another way of how not to use it is before an abstract noun, okay? For example, what is an abstract noun? An abstract noun is the love, happiness, hunger, okay? Some stuff that you can't touch, okay? So they don't exist physically, they exist only metaphorically. Okay, so you say, for example, you say love, you don't say the love, okay? You say happiness, you don't say the happiness, okay? That's the idea. And exist other words, like for example, there is a bunch of words that you can use them, you can't use them. Like for example, the word dinner, okay, school, lunch, and home, okay? When you have this, it's not possible to say the dinner, okay? Okay, we had dinner at for example, we had dinner at 5 o'clock, okay? You don't say we had the dinner at 5 o'clock, no, that's not possible, okay? So these are the ways of how to use the articles. If you check in your PDF, or if you check in your, if you have it at home, in your manual, okay, you can see other ways of how to use and how not to use. For example, I just listed fast, no? For example, it says with groups of islands with a plural name. For example, the Virgin Islands, you can use them. Okay, let's talk about how to use it. Okay, with names of geographic areas. So, for example, the Middle Orient, the Middle East. Okay, with universities, colleagues, and schools when the name begins with a school. For example, the University of Texas. With names of wars, the Civil War, the Wars of Independence. It's possible. Okay, with names of historical documents. Okay, that's also possible. You say the Treaty of Geneva, the Carta Magna. That's another way. And with names of ships, airplanes, and trains. For example, the Queen Mary, the Orient Express, the Titanic, that is very famous, and other ways of how not to use the article the. For example, with singular lakes, like for example, Lake Superior or Mount Everest. You don't say the Mount Everest, that's not possible. Okay? With countries of singular name, for example, this is an example. You say the United States of America, the United Kingdom. Okay, so yes, that's possible, but you don't say the Mexico, okay, or the China, that's not possible. Okay, so we name some continents. Okay, you don't say the America. No, it's America, Asia, Europe, Oceania, Africa. Um, we name some states, towns, and streets. For example, Florida is, for example, here. But in a context in Mexico, you don't say the Morelos, of course not. Okay, you say only Morelos, or for example, Regente Street, Hidalgo Street, or Galeana Street. So yes, that's the way. Okay, with names of people, magazine, for example, magazines, no Times Magazine or People. Okay, so it's possible. It's not possible to say the Richie, no, el Richie, no, that's not possible. Okay, or the Daniel, el Daniel, no, that's not possible. It's only Daniel, Richie, Gabo. Okay. So, and finally, with universities, colleagues, and schools, beginning with a proper noun. For example, Los Angeles colleague, Harvard. Put in a context here is like, for example, UAM. No, you don't say the UAM. No, it's only UAM. Okay. So if you check your manual, you could see this information and an activity. Okay, to do. So check it out. Articles we have only three: and the. Here depends on pronunciation, the or the. Okay. So this is the first part.